Welcome back to another strange and mysterious whoop-dee podcast. Yeah, of course, I'm one of your hosts, G. Introduce yourself, sir.
Fine Triple Nine, Matt Roybal, aka the Rat,
El ratoncito.
El Ratoncito. Yeah, we got an interesting show today.
We do. Well, shit, kick it off. Tell us what's good. What happened?
Okay, so viewers, friends, family, everyone knows I'm sort of the more skeptical member of this podcast. I tend to be more the kind of skeptical voice, but exactly 2 weeks ago almost. So not this last Tuesday, but the one before that. I was working late at work. It was 7:15. And I know that because after the incident happened, I looked at my phone or not my phone, my watch, because I was like, I don't know, just because I knew that it was a big deal. And so I had to figure out what time it was. So I knew I saw a goddamn motherfucking ghost.
Ghosts.
I
Now, it wasn't
saw
a
a pair.
reflection. It wasn't
I
like,
saw a paranormal, what I'm saying, calling a paranormal thing. It was sudden. It was unexpected. It wasn't like, pre-assumed. It was just a late night at work. I've been working long hours at work. Um, and it just was right there in my vision. So
now, how clear was the ghost features? I mean, could you pick out like color of hair? Could you pick out
yeah,
skin tone?
guy was a white guy with white hair wearing a white lab coat. I don't quite remember. Could have been jeans or khakis. I don't know. I can't quite remember the pants, but I
Mhm.
remember very clearly the white lab coat and the white hair. It looked like a guy in his 60s. So let me set the stage. I work for a dietary supplements company, and we manufacture dietary supplements. It's so there's front office people, there's production people, there's shipping people. It's a large organization. Not massive, massive, but big enough. Just like 40 employees. And I was working late at the office and I was listening to my music. I was plugged in and I was going back and forth from my office to the production area where we print labels because we're working on some new designs for the labels. So I back out of my chair, stand up real quick, take a piece of paper that I had, and started walking around a corner. So, say this is my office right here, right? If you take my office and you go this way, you round a corner and there's up here, there's more offices. So my office is right here. I go out of my office and round this corner and I'm going up to the production, which is over here. And when I
Mhm.
round the corner, I see a man, the backside of him, walking very quickly through a doorway. And get this, the door was almost completely shut. There was no door open.
Wow.
And I think that that's where I saw the back of him. And I could have sworn it looked like he had a ponytail, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But I saw the back of him very quickly, like he was walking through that doorway.
Hmm.
So as I saw that and I was walking, my brain did not want to register what I saw because it was almost like my brain was saying, that's impossible. The door is closed. You didn't just see that. Like I,
Hmm.
I literally went through like for about 5 seconds this period where my brain said, it's like it evaluated itself. It's like I don't know. I liken it to like a computer that crashes and freezes for a second, right? Because it's
Hmm.
not registering what it's seeing. He was walking very fast. So it was just, like if someone's walking through a doorway fast, it's a split second.
Hmm.
This was a dude walking fast, not like leisurely stroll. Like he was booking it out of there. Not running,
And,
but just walking
and
fast.
you could see that this gentleman or ghost had like shoes on.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. He wasn't
I
floating through
saw
something.
no, I saw his whole body. That's what's so weird about it.
Yeah.
That's why because a lot of the ghost stuff we see, if we see it on the cameras, um, you see it almost like fuzzy, faded shit.
Mhm.
This shit was clear,
Yeah.
Gabe. That's he looked like a dude at work.
Wow. That's incredible.
And so I stopped there for a second and I was like, again, like my brain froze. You didn't see that. You didn't see that. Immediately, my brain started coming up with these thoughts. You're really tired. You're stressed out. You're seeing things, right? But as I sat there and I walked over to the door and opened it and closed it, I had to be real with myself. I had to be honest that I saw this dude.
Hmm. Strange. So, like any type of like weird feelings, like you're being
None.
watched, anything like
None,
that?
not in that moment. Now, I have felt in the past like there was people there. So let me give some more backstory. There, we, my coworkers believe that this guy's name is Don. So I've been working at this company a long time. I'm in my 20th year there. Okay. Don died of a heart attack in 2004, somewhere around there.
Hmm.
He worked in marketing and he really loved his job. And in fact, my old boss, right before Don died, he had given my old boss a ride to the airport. And the entire ride, he kept just telling him, "Oh, I love my job. Thank you so much for hiring me." Um, he was a marketing guy. He was like, I didn't think anyone, I thought my career was over. Then you gave me a chance. So he was older. He was like in his 60s, right?
At the time. Uh-huh.
At the time. Now he'd be pushing a 80 or 90 or 100. But anyway, so he was older. He was like 65, 63. So essentially what he was a washed up marketing guy who was on
Hmm.
the verge of retirement, but didn't want to stop working. And he, Daniel gave him a chance, my boss. Um, and so he loved the job, dropped him off at the airport, dropped my boss off at the airport, and went home. And then a few days later, it was like Monday, I guess. So my boss had gone on vacation in the mid of the week and then came back on Monday. And Don doesn't show up, and it wasn't like him. So they called his house to say, "Hey, we're just checking on Don." And that's when his wife said, she was crying and she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I forgot to call you guys, but Don died last night. He had a heart
Oh,
attack in his
wow.
sleep." And then, well, this is where it gets strange. For the next year or two, there was tons of activity there. Now I wasn't there. This girl named Jennifer, who I know, basically saw him and said, "I could have sworn I saw Don."
Wow.
Um, there was another employee that saw him in the back as if, and they confused him for another employee because and this is the interesting thing. Back then, see, now we have different colored lab coats. Back then, they had white lab coats,
Yeah.
so that jives. Um, but another incident, employee saw, it was towards the end of the day, and they thought it was this other guy named Peter that worked there too.
Hmm.
And so this person, because so everyone wears white lab coats, and that guy Peter was around the same age, maybe older
Yeah.
guy. So this employee said, like clear as day, saw who they thought was the back of Peter in an aisle in shipping, moving through shipping. Enough that employee said, "Don't don't leave," or the last person has to leave has to do a check to make sure no one gets locked in the building. There's
Yeah.
still someone back there. They're like, "No, there's not. Everyone's gone." And that employee was like, "No, there's. I just saw Peter. Peter's back there." And they're like, "Peter? Peter left early today. He left at like 2 o'clock or something."
Wow.
So then they go back there. No one's there. Another thing that would happen. So there would be like marketing brochures and paperwork, marketing
Hmm.
stuff, that they put in the boxes for the shipping. So whenever the product would ship out, they would put in marketing materials, sales materials, shit like that. And so they had these on the wall, they had these holders that would hold all this stuff that they would grab from to put in the boxes.
Hmm.
They would come in the morning and all that shit, it would be as if someone had gone and thrown it out
Wow.
all on the floor.
Strange.
So at the time they're like, it's Don. One girl even saw him and recognized because she worked with him. That girl that I was telling you,
Hmm.
um, she was like, I saw Don after he died. I was like, okay. And so so after that happened, I went back to production, which is way back in the back. So I was torqued up. I thought, okay, that's fucking weird. And the way it felt, you know how if someone's sneaking up on you and then they don't want to get caught and you turn around or you move or you catch them and they turn around to go, like they're embarrassed and they're going fast. That's what it felt like because I was at my desk, plugged in with my phones, so I wasn't hearing the outside world. I wasn't doing any of that stuff. So I very quickly just popped out my headphones and kicked my chair back to move, right? I think. And so when I rounded that corner, that's when I saw his ass walking out.
Wow, that's crazy.
So the feeling that I got was as if I had caught someone spying on me
Hmm.
and he was hauling ass. Once he realized I was coming, he took off. But
Wow.
this is the weird thing. That guy Don, by around 2009, all the activity stopped. At least, yeah. So there was like 3 years there where he was very active. About three
Hmm.
years, 4 years. He died in like 2004, I think. But by the time I started working there, 2009, 2010, all that activity had just started to stop.
Slow down. Yeah.
And everyone just assumed, oh, well, Don must have just went to the light, right? um, but over time, okay, so this is the thing, though. This is maybe the reason why. Overtime was something that my old boss did not like to pay. Okay. It was very, very rare that anyone stayed late after 6.
Hmm.
Now, the end of the workday's 5. Now, yeah, people finishing things up, doing that kind of stuff. But by 6 o'clock, the place is a ghost town. No one is there. Mainly because Dan, my ex-boss, did not like he was one of those boss owners that didn't really believe in overtime. Like
Hmm.
whatever the reason might be. It wasn't even necessarily that he didn't want to pay it, but he's like, if we can't accomplish it in 40-hour week, then we just need more time, right?
Yeah.
He wanted people to have lives and all that kind of stuff. So when the business sold and now these new people, this new corporate entity owns the business, they have goals and they have stuff that they want to accomplish. So they're they're not overtime uh
Resistant.
resistant.
Yeah.
So now that they've rolled in and we've been under their ownership for about 2 years, there's a lot more overtime happening. So there's people are staying later. And I talked to so the funny thing is the day after that, I had to stay late too. And I remember thinking, oh man, don't scare me, Don. Just whatever you do, don't scare me, right? So I had gone over onto the other side of the building, shut off all the lights because all those people were gone, shut the air conditioner down, and then came back. Well, that side of the building had the supply closet, and I needed
Mhm.
some binder clips or some shit. So I went to go get some binder clips. And as I'm going into the break room to the other side of the building, I see a light on in there.
Ooh.
I was like, oh, fuck, really? And then
Oh,
I open the door and I hear movement. And I'm like, no, not 2 nights in a row. I can't. This is not fucking Ghost Hunters or I'm at fucking
right?
work, right? Like I'm trying to work here, guys. I'm like, please, ghosts, leave me alone.
Yeah.
No, it was the maintenance guy because he rolls in after hours to clean the offices, and so I turn the corner and the
Okay.
dude's there, and I get all surprised, but I'm like, oh shit, dude, you scared the shit out of me. It was like you scared me. I did. There's not someone supposed to be here.
Hey,
And
have
then
you
so
asked him?
I did. So I told him. I told him the story. I said, and he goes, I haven't seen anything, but I always get the wheelies in the shipping department
Yeah.
when I'm back there cleaning the offices and shipping. And I said, really? And he goes, yeah, this is, I don't know. He's like, whenever I'm back there, I always get the feeling like his mention was, I always feel like there's someone watching me
Hmm.
in that part of the building. But he goes, now you've messed me up, bro. Now I'm gonna be all scared because he said that and he was like, he said, and I asked him, I said, well, have you ever seen anything? And he goes, I've never seen anything. Just had fine in all parts of the building. So the building's separated. There's front office, there's break room, there's production. The shipping department's another section with offices in there.
Hmm.
So maybe there's something about the shipping area that he's drawn to. I
Yeah.
don't I don't know what it is. Maybe it's and so I talked to my ex-boss about it and he asked me, he said, well, what were you doing? He says, give me the context of what you were doing. I said, well, I was printing new labels. I was going from my machine, my workstation, to production area to print labels on the new things. He goes, oh, well, no wonder. Don was a big marketer. He loved this shit. He was probably
Hmm.
just interested in what the new labels and new bottles were turning into.
Hmm.
And I was like, huh, okay, well that kind of tracks, right? If he was a marketing guy and I'm doing marketing stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so okay, so fast forward to this last week. I'm there again late. And for whatever reason, I'm having a hard time completely plugging in. See, right now I'm completely plugged in.
Hmm.
If I was that, then I'm not completely plugged in. I'm hearing and I'm still hearing and awareness. So
Yeah.
what I've been doing, I'm not listening to music. I've been listening to podcasts while I'm working, so I can just have one headphone in. And I got a fright. I could have sworn I've heard movement behind me the other night. I could have sworn it. And I went, fucking A, Don. Listen, man, I don't have a problem with you look at all the stuff we're doing all you want. But
Yeah.
while I'm here, stop scaring me, motherfucker. Please. I don't want to be scared anymore.
Yup.
Like, that's scary, bro. Like, I'm trying to do my work here. Just let a brother, you
Breathe.
know, yeah, yeah, let a brother chill. Hang out on the back till I'm gone, and then you have all night to haunt all our shit. But
Yeah.
do me a favor and try not to haunt where I'm at, right?
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Like, especially like being there by yourself,
Hmm.
right? Because then, like, you're dealing with two problems, right? You're dealing with, the ghost that's there, right?
Hmm.
And then you're dealing with your own thoughts, right?
Yeah, so
So,
it's well,
like,
like I said, it's altered my fucking behavior. I'm not wearing to, because that's the thing that's freaky about it, right? If you're plugged in like this, you're almost blind to what's going on around you. That's why that fucking ghost will probably thought he could sneak up. A motherfucker could be standing right behind me, man. You know what I mean? Like I could be absorbed in my thing, and then what if I'm plugged in and I see a reflection in the goddamn monitor of the computer,
oh, I
and there's
know.
some homie standing behind me.
That's fucked
That's
up.
gonna freak me the fuck out, bro. That's
Oh,
what I
I
was
know.
saying. Don, love you. Lots of love for you, brother. But Leave me alone. Don't come around when I'm there. I
Yeah.
get you're real interested in what I'm doing, but I do not want you hovering over me. That's weird. I don't like living people doing that.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
Yeah,
one of the
it
things
was
they say
crazy.
is just to tell it, please leave me alone. I'm trying to do my work.
Well, I
That's another
did.
one.
Well, that's what I did. I said,
Yeah.
Don. So remember, I was halfway plugged in, and I heard movement, and so I went like that really quick. Don, please, please. I don't need this right now. I'm already under a lot of stress from living work. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't need to deal with the dead stuff. I don't. It's like I don't need dead drama on top of live
Right?
drama.
That's too
Like
much drama.
that's too much drama, man. That's way too much drama. Take that somewhere else because I've already got enough living drama. I don't want dead drama.
No, I totally understand.
It was
Yeah.
so, and what's funny is I told a lot. So the company is a mixture of old employees and new employees, and the old employees
Yeah.
are like the old guard, right? They're the ones that have been there for years. Like we got people that are pushing 35 years, 23 years. I'm pushing 20 years. So all the old employees are like, I don't know, because they remember, a lot of them remember the time when that was happening, and it was freaking a
Hmm.
lot of people out.
Yeah.
I mean, there were there was people like really freaked out when that stuff was happening back in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Um, they even did smudges, and so the old owner, he's not against spiritualism and stuff like that. So they went in there with sage, they smudged the place, they thought they had a problem. They
Hmm.
thought they had an issue. Now, whenever people saw the guy, just like when I saw him, there was never any kind of hair stand on the back of your neck. Um, it was like shocking, like surprising. There was
Yeah.
never any all to a person, the people that I talked to that had seen him, and one employee um remembers also an event where she was there, and this was actually not that long ago. I think this was within like 10 years ago. She remembers an event where she was the last one. And so the last employee that leaves has to go check the building to make sure all the lights are off and all that shit's
Yeah.
done, right? So she was thought she was the last one. So she went to the back, she opened the door to the production area, and then there's other doors further, there's other areas of the building too. And she swore she heard a door slam, like bam.
Hmm.
And she's like, God damn it, who's still fucking around here? I want to go home. So she goes back there, looks around, she's like, hello, hello, hello. Turns off the lights,
Nothing.
hello, hello, nothing.
Yeah.
And she's like, and she told me, she goes, I swore and she even said it was one of these doors in the back over here that's not in line of sight when you first go in, because I swore it sounds just like when people are fucking around back there and going in and out and slamming that door.
Hmm.
And she said she went back there was no one there, and she swore she heard it. And so there is stuff, but again, when that stuff happens, it's not like
Malicious.
there's no malicious intent
Yeah.
feeling to it. There's no like, the hair stood up on my skin, but it happened after I saw the dude. There
Hmm.
wasn't any kind of prelude to the supernatural event.
Yeah.
There was no, it's cold in here. There was no, I'm getting a funny feeling in my
Or
tummy,
smell.
or a smell, or just an odd feeling, or even a feeling of being watched. Like I said, when I turned that corner, uh, I have felt the feelings like there's someone there before, because that's the thing. Because I have been there before late, and I have felt that when I'm
Hmm.
there. That is a weird building, and it's an old building, and the building, I think it was built in the 70s, late 70s, early 80s, right?
Hmm.
So it's a pretty old building. So older buildings like that have creaks, they settle. I mean, they're not like new buildings don't have those, don't make those noises.
Yeah.
Um, So I'd always kind of felt weird and felt like there was someone there. I've had instances too where I went to go yell to make sure no one was in the back when we were closing up and felt like there were still people back there and gone back there and there weren't, right?
Hmm.
Um, but if it is that guy Don, um, the only thing I can think, this is my thoughts on the matter, is that maybe his home life wasn't the best,
Hmm.
right? Maybe he had a rough life. Maybe there was just all those things that in our humanity that makes life hard or whatever. And maybe it is just as sad as it sounds, he was just ultimately happy at that job.
Yeah.
He was happy working there. He felt
Fulfilled.
self he felt fulfilled, he felt actualized. And this isn't the first time we've heard of shit like that.
Hmm.
We've seen other videos, paranormal videos, where people say, yeah, this is that we think it's that nurse. She loved it here, particularly in hospitals,
Or priests.
or priests, or they go back to doing what they loved in the afterlife, right? Or they're connected to that space. Or the other thing about that is we still don't know, the jury is out on if some of this paranormal activity connected to events, connected to crazy people, are they actually that person still in some kind of conscious afterlife, or are they like an echo of
Hmm.
something? I think the jury is still way out on that.
Yeah.
On if a lot of this supernatural ghost activity, if it's connected to the entity or if it's connected to the geographical location.
Yeah.
We've had this conversation, Gabe, where we're like, some of these haunted places, is it because of the deaths and the spirits that pass through there? Or is it because there's something special about that geographic location that, just like a phonograph or a tape or a record, can record events around it
Yeah.